Every few months, the world seems to hold its breath. Headlines flare up, commentators warn of an imminent war, the inevitable conflict between China and the United States over Taiwan. But inevitability is a strange word. History rarely follows what seems obvious, and in this case, the more everyone prepares for war, the less likely it becomes. To understand why, we need to revisit a simple but powerful idea: reflexivity, a concept popularized by investor and philosopher George Soros. Reflexivity says that in human systems, like markets or politics, perception doesn't just describe reality. It creates it. If enough people believe something will happen, they act in ways that change the outcome itself. When traders believe a market crash is coming, they hedge, diversify, retreat. And in doing so, they prevent the crash. Expectation kills the very event it fears. The same pattern is unfolding around Taiwan. Both sides, Beijing, Washington, and Taipei, are so aware of the stakes that they're locked into a kind of strategic reflexivity. Everyone preparing for war, every move watched, every alliance scrutinized. In that tension, the very possibility of war is undermined. China knows an invasion would wreck decades of economic growth. It would shatter the international trust it needs for trade, investment, technology. The U.S. understands that engaging in a full-scale war in the Pacific would be catastrophic, not just militarily, but economically, politically, morally. Taiwan itself, rich in high-tech industry and global dependence, semiconductor export, supply chains, cannot be treated as an isolated pawn. Its value is global. Its destruction would echo around the world. There's also something subtler: deep structural interdependence. The trade policies of yesteryears bind nations in invisible bonds. Taiwan produces the world's most advanced chips. The U.S. depends on them in its phones, its AI data centers, its defense systems. China depends on the same nodes for its factories and its aspirations. Cutting that chain through war would be to cut one's own arm. The U.S. and China are geopolitical conjoined twins. Whether they like it or not, they depend on each other far more than on any other single nation. Their economies are mirrored in strange symmetry. The U.S. consumes and innovates. China manufactures and scales. The capital that fuels Silicon Valley often flows back from Chinese savings, and the supply chains that keep Shenzhen humming are sustained by American demand. I would go as far as claiming the U.S. is far more likely to engage in a hot war with Russia than China. But here, I make a bold prediction. The unification of Taiwan and China will happen in the future, but it will be less chaotic than what the world expects. This will be long after Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing company, TSMC, firmly plants working fabrication plants, fabs, in the U.S. Already, TSMC has committed huge investment to U.S. fabs. Projects in Arizona with at least 6 fabs, advanced packaging, R&D centers, aiming for cutting-edge process nodes. There are also credible reports and speculation that TSMC and Intel may form some kind of partnership or joint venture, possibly with TSMC acquiring or managing minority stakes in Intel's U.S. foundry operations, or sending its expertise to support Intel's fabs. When that infrastructure is built, the technological separation between Taiwan and major U.S. semiconductor capacity will blur. In such a world, China-Taiwan unification might happen more like a corporate merger than a military storm. Less Hong Kong-style protests, less violent resistance, more negotiated transition, economic integration, institutional ties already deeply embedded. Because war over Taiwan is not just about territory. It's about chips. It's about supply chains, trust, interdependence, the global economy. And once the foundation is laid, fabs in the U.S., shared technological infrastructure, overlapping interests, the cost of confrontation becomes unthinkable. Perhaps what we call preparation for war is really preparation for peace. Because when every actor builds strong defenses, alliances, economic links, they build a framework where war is no longer useful. So I believe The war over Taiwan won't happen. Not because conflict is unthinkable, but because all the forces of interdependence, perception, awareness, and infrastructure make it functionally impossible. And when unification does come, it may feel less like a conquest and more like a natural convergence of power, technology, and human will. Because sometimes the boldest predictions are not of wars, but of peace born from the shadows of tension.